years, night vision has become much more culturally acceptable. A lot less people asking, why on earth do you own night vision? Why would you want to go out and buy such a device? When I first got into night vision about 8 years ago, that was the question everyone was asking. And now it's seen as a status symbol if you own a night vision device of some sort. And it's been interesting seeing the last few years, folks will go out and acquire a set of night vision, and rather than training with it, rather than going out and learning how to properly use their device, they just go to their local Wendy's and do a little photo shoot. They go to the gas station parking lot. We've all seen it. But what if I were to tell you that there are a number of things you can do with night vision that aren't even, it's not even shooting related. It's not just training on the flat range, but different things you can be doing with your night vision device to get the most out of your investment. So let's go check out some of the different stuff that you can be doing with your night vision device. I will not.
Alright, what can I get for you?
I'll do a double quarter pounder with cheese with extra ketchup.
What else?
I will then do a Big Mac.
What else?
Y'all want anything? No. I think that'll be it.
Alright, it's going to be 1621. It's first one out.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
So the first stuff that we're going to be doing is we're going to be shooting. So we're out here on the range. It's getting dark. We're going to kit up with our nods, and we're going to be testing out all of the different lasers and white lights and optics that we have on a variety of different rifles. Because the main thing that you're looking for when you do get out to the range with your night vision to actually live fire is not so much getting better at shooting with night vision, because that's actually relatively very easy. It's more getting accustomed to the equipment itself. Your IR lasers, your optics that are night vision compatible, your white lights or your IR illuminators. But before we get too far down that rabbit hole of how to shoot with night vision, there's one point that's particularly very important that I want to stress, and that is if you cannot afford buying night vision, you cannot afford plunking down $3,000 on a BBS-14, you can't plunk down $8,000 on a bino system of some sort, do not go out and use a Credova or some other financial credit-based, debt-based system to buy night vision. That's just going to keep you in the hole even longer. And instead, what you should be doing is saving your money, being fiscally responsible, and making an attempt to become financially independent. At which point, you should then be making sound financial decisions like buying night vision or doing other things. And it's possible buying night vision is not what you should be doing right now. But it is possible that watching this video in particular is going to show you what you could be doing with night vision and what kinds of equipment you should be looking for when you are at that point where you can invest in night vision or you want to start saving for night vision. So, without further ado, let's go look at some of the systems that we are using, and then it should be dark enough to start shooting. The night vision I'm using tonight is a set of NVGs with Elbit tubes. Now, I don't really know what the specs on the tubes are because I don't really care, because after you've used night vision for a little bit, a lot of those specs and details, you you don't notice them. When you're running around and you're shooting and you're in the woods and you're doing things, the scintillation and the FOM ratings and the SNR and all of that just isn't as important as some people on forums want to make you think. But these are high FOM, very high quality, particular high quality set of night vision. I have used these already a little bit, and on this particular helmet, the OpsCore SF, I have an AB battery pack. It's not really there to give me more juice because on a single lithium battery, these actually run for quite a while. It's also more for just the counterweight so that this is a little bit more comfortable to wear for a prolonged period of time. I have my sword ends that are clipped into my arc rails, and it's overall a pretty simple setup. Don't have a ton of cameras or other pieces of equipment on the helmet because the primary objective is to protect my melon and to give me night vision capability. So that's what I'm running. Some of the other guys have PVS 14s. One of the other guys here has a set of RP NVGs, which is a set of RNVGs that can actually pan outwards and give you a little bit more field of view, similar to the GP&VG panoramic night vision goggles that you guys have possibly seen in other videos of ours. So this is the setup that I'm using, and now I guess it's time to kit up and get to blasting. Shooter, are you ready? Stand by. And in this case, transitioning up close is harder, even though we're closer to the target, because I can only see one target at a time in my field of view. Once we move further back, we'll be able to see probably two targets. It'll make it a little bit easier. So these drills are particularly good to do up close, where I can only see one at a time, and I really have to work on eyes leading with the gun following and not overshoot the target.
Oh, we got a delta. One delta.
What?
Yeah.
So as you guys have probably noticed, I am shooting, and all these other guys are shooting slick. And the reason why is to focus on isolation. We're removing armor, chest rigs, all of upper body kit out of the way so that we can focus on our equipment, how our lasers are operating, our shooting performance, and what's actually going on with the gun. It can be very tempting if you've gotten your night vision and you're at the range, you throw your helmet on to go, well, it makes sense to have my armor at the same time. And to some extent this is true, but if you are practicing shooting skills, it's essential that you isolate out, remove distractors. So I have to wear a helmet with my night vision, I can't avoid that. I could ditch the belt and just shoot rifle with a mag in my back pocket, but just wearing the belt really isn't that much of an issue. So, when you are on the flat range and you are working on shooting skills, you're not doing tactical scenarios, you're not doing obstacle courses, you're not in the woods, you're not doing whatever, I highly recommend getting at least some reps, if not most of your reps, shooting slick, where you don't have anything distracting you from actually getting better at shooting. Oh, sorry, I got a scan.
Oh yeah, search and assess. This I've never shot a single dot use like passively, and
it's pretty nice.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, it's amazing. Better than aim point, in my opinion.
So this next drill is going to be especially interesting. We are going to be engaging the targets at distance using either passive or IR through our night vision. We will then be flipping our night vision up and going to white light. And what this tests is if people have adequately set up their rifles to be able to swap between the two quickly. And if they're skilled enough at manipulating their night vision, they can get it out of the way nice and quick. And we'll see how many people do and how many don't.
This is the Lucas Botkins target. It's pretty good.
1 Charlie.
Very nice.
It was the slowest, but
What was your time?
7:09. So we're not just focused on getting better at shooting here, but we're also testing out our equipment. In this case, our night vision, our IR lasers, our illuminators, our white lights, all that good stuff. And one drill that I like to set up for folks and I like to do myself, although once you've done it once or twice, you don't get a whole lot out of it. So do this a couple times and then you're pretty much done. Tape a white light to a target stand. I usually position it a little lower so that the odds of it getting shot are a little lower, because you are still trying to shoot for A zone if you can. And I'm going to have the guys start facing uprange. On buzzer, they're going to turn into this white light. They then have to move to a position where they can engage, because even shining a good white light back or even an IR illuminator back, it is very hard to discern this target. Now you could just shoot towards the light, obviously, but that's going to result in very poor accuracy. So the best thing to do here is to move off center of where that light is shooting to. So getting off the X, as it were. That was a gunshot. Interesting. So we'll see how the guys do. Running nods, they can run white light, they can do whatever they want. And I have a Surefire, an old Surefire M600 or M300 on here. So this is around 600 lumens. We could do something higher power, and that would just result in the person having to move off the X even more. And with some of those high power lights, they would just have to shoot into the light, because there's no way their illuminator or their Surefire Turbo is really going to defeat that other high power, high candela light. So let's give it a run and see how it works. More useful often than shooting once you're on the range is messing with things. So right now all the guys are trying out all their different equipment, their IR laser modes, their white light on their rifle, even their handgun potentially, to see how they can combat a white light coming back at them. Because white lights don't just blow out your nods like all the people think they do in movies, but they do make it hard to get past the light and see what's behind it. Obviously in front of it I can see everything, I can see all the other targets, but behind that light I can't see much. So they're gonna mess around with this 500 lumen M300 down there, and then I'm gonna go swap it out for something a little more powerful. And even with a full power laser, it is very hard, if not impossible, to get past a high candela modern weapon light and see the outline or see the target itself. Even shining white light back is still very difficult, even if you go nods up and actually white light against white light. It's still very difficult. So this is a great thing to do with your night vision, and you don't even have to go to a range to set this up. You can just have someone go out there and shine a weapon light at you. You can look at it, you can shine a handheld back and see what your night vision is, how it's reacting to that light, and what you might need to do to defeat someone presenting this kind of threat.
What is Alpha?
No! All right, just look away, look briefly at it. This is a Streamlight ProTac HLX. 1200 lumens.
Ain't happening.
I think it's 78.
I mean, you can kind of see the target, but
I can't see anything.
it like washes out big time.
Yeah, and that's only a $120 light.
That's impressive. Streamlight for the win, dude. I need to get rid of my X300 and get a TLR.
All right, you guys good?
Yep.
For Charlie's total.
I think I have one mic. 1, 2,
You need 10.
4, 5,
There's a
6,
headshot, by the
7,
way.
8, 9.
I'm not seeing
that's
anything
all.
else. You can either go to the right, go to the left first. The objective is to get to a place where you can see our first target to engage, which is a full IPSC. Move to the next target, engage. Obviously, shooting it as soon as it passes, you know, the threshold of this wall. And then this shooter has the exact same thing. Standing in the center, not seeing either target. Jump out, engage. Jump out, engage.
As many shots as we want.
Like 3 to 5.
Okay.
But the goal is to see as soon as possible. Similar to the drill we shot earlier, where we were getting close to the targets or backing up to the targets, we could only see one at a time, and we were having to get comfortable scanning for targets and engaging in target transitioning. Drills with obstacles and vision barriers are very helpful to getting more comfortable using night vision. We have these nice plywood boxes that I'm sure some of you are going to go, you blew past cover, you're supposed to have another guy with you, why are you going in alone, etc., all this tactical crap. These are simply to create vision barriers between us and the target. If we're doing our job properly, and we are really paying attention to the process, which is having our gun up sooner so that we can shoot faster, we will be utilizing the edges of these boxes, having the muzzle where it needs to be, so as soon as we come around the corner, there's the target. It's already in line with my rifle. I can snap to the target with my laser and engage. Very similar, some of you CSGO players will be familiar, where you keep your crosshair on the very edge of the wall as you're pieing a corner to engage a player. It's very similar. The person who can do this better with these vision barriers will be able to engage the targets faster or sooner, which will result in engaging the targets faster. You could simulate this with barrels, just double stacked barrels, really any sort of object out there, but I highly recommend doing something like this to get more confidence and capability running your night vision and properly seeing what you need to see as fast as possible.
We got a little obstacle course set up here. This is another great way to just get used to moving with night vision. So the first obstacle we have here is a couple steps. This just really helps with your depth perception, stepping over. We have a 2-foot, 12-inch, and an 18-inch step. And then right after the steps, we have just a little hurdle. This guy's 3 foot tall. So this just helps, again, getting used to wearing night vision and being able to just move around different things with a limited field of view and a limited depth perception. And then we built this doesn't look like it, but this is a window. So again, just getting used to like all the extra stuff you got on your head and all the extra stuff you may have in your body. Like we're gonna do this with our plate carrier, belt, and helmet on. Climbing through a somewhat large window. And then we have another one of these little 3-foot hurdles that kind of looks like a bench. It's just kind of a low crawl over this guy. And then we have this big guy. It's 6 foot tall. It's the same thing as the little 3-foot guy. We're just climbing over it. We have some steps here to make it a little easier. Nothing crazy. Again, we're just getting used to having this extra stuff on our head, extra or limited field of view. And then finally, we're going to go do a couple more steps, little step overs before we do a high crawl with all of our stuff on. So again, this is just crawling, getting used to having extra stuff on your head, not getting hooked or snagged on anything, and things of that nature. And then before we start all this, we're going to climb up a ladder, walk around the roof, and climb back down the ladder. So nothing super hard, super strenuous, just again, some random different things we can do to get used to wearing night vision and get better moving around with night vision on.
So we're done with the first night. Did a bunch of shooting drills of all kinds, a lot of 100-meter work, some stuff with vision barriers, shooting around walls and whatnot, and then we finished up with the obstacle course, which the obstacle course looks pretty goofy, obviously. It's just people stepping over things and it looks kind of dumb, but is wildly useful, especially if you're someone who hasn't had a lot of time under night vision. The obstacle course wasn't super challenging for us. We've been under nods quite a bit. But if you're someone who's just bought a set of night vision, even constructing simple obstacles or going somewhere with similar looking obstacles can be super helpful. On a number of the obstacles, I didn't have to look at them. I knew they were there. I'm memorizing the ground 20 feet in front of me, or in this case, the obstacle in front of me, and could just step over it and do whatever I needed to do. Now, I wanted to go over this rifle build because I'm sure some of you all might have questions. Tonight I was shooting this HK416, which I have used for years. And for this particular setup, I have a D-Ball A3, which is a civilian class laser. So all the drills I shot tonight was with a civilian class laser, which was very easy to use out to 100 meters. And with the lighting conditions we had tonight, I could have probably taken it out to 150, maybe even 200. Now, doing positive target identification or on a target at that distance would be much trickier, especially with the civilian class illuminator. For my weapon light, I have a Surefire Turbo, which I did run a little bit. Back at the 40 meter, it was very effective. And even on the white light drill, my X300 turbo on my pistol and the turbo light on this rifle were able to get past that weapon light, and I could actually see the target. The pressure switch system I have, and this is something that's really important, this is why coming out with night vision is very helpful in sort of working through your equipment. You want to make sure that your buttons are very intuitive and that you can articulate your equipment with ease. You're not having to fumble around and look for stuff. In this case, I actually have Velcro on 3 sides of the rifle, and I can actually move my different pressure switches for my light and my laser to different places on the rifle based on how much I'm using them. So when I was running some white light drills, I positioned my ST07 on the top, which allowed me to effortlessly activate the white light. If I was doing night vision only, and then maybe I wanted to prevent a white light ND, I simply moved my ST07 to the side, and I can run my thumb on top for a good shooting grip, thumb on the pressure switch here to activate my D-ball, and I had good recoil management, and I never ND'd my white light, which was nice with this configuration. But if I had to activate my white light, all I have to do is twist my hand underneath, and I can activate in an emergency if I have to. So again, these are little quirks and things you can figure out with dry fire and just with being under night vision and building out a weapon that is very easy to use. So now we are going to pack up, get ready for night number 2, and do some other stuff that we like to do with night vision, because it's not just about hanging out at Arby's or even shooting on the flat range.
It's day 2 of our night vision training event. Day 1, you guys saw we did a little obstacle course and some shooting at the T.REX range. Now we're out at a new location. We're going to do 2 more things. We're going to drive under night vision and walk through the woods and walk together with our night vision on, wearing some kit. So Michael's going to talk about the walking aspect, and I'm going to talk about the vehicle aspect. So will you ever drive under night vision? Probably not. But if you invested in night vision, it's probably a good idea that you learn how to drive under night vision, what you need to do to make your vehicle capable of driving under night vision. So there's 2 ways to do it. Lucas has some blackout switches he's going to show you, and then I'm going to show you the old school way of duct tape and some rags or t-shirts or whatever. So it's super simple, guys. We are going to use rags to tape over lights, and the reason why we don't just tape over them, you can if you want, is to not completely obscure the lights. So that way the person behind you with night vision, when you brake, they can still see the brake lights. It's a safety thing. And also doing some thin cloth, a layer or 2 over it, still prevents enough light from coming through where it doesn't emit a ton of light and you're still maintaining that light discipline that we want to keep. And yeah, we're going to go through how to do it on the outside, on the inside of the vehicle. We're going to do some basic vehicle maneuvers, some vehicle bounding, and we're going to drive super slow and just have a good time with night vision and driving.
So this is a 2018 4Runner, and after I purchased this vehicle, I sent it off to a company in Colorado to get customized. I do not believe that company is in business any longer, but one of the things I wanted them to build for me as they were upgrading it was a way to have a blackout switch to the vehicle that kills the brake lights and other lights in the interior of the vehicle, and also installing IR lights into the front, sides, and rear that I can articulate using a small panel, switch panel in the front of the vehicle. So here I have 2 rigid IR lights. I want to say these are in the 860 spectrum as far as the rating for the IR. What this means is it's closer to what the naked eye can perceive, meaning the light is very bright, but when you are looking at it head on, you will see the red glow that you'll see from like a surefire weapon light. But they do put out a ton of IR light. So if there's no moon present or I'm driving through a lot of trees where there's essentially shade at night, I can activate these and I see everything. In fact, I see it brighter than if I were driving with headlights. So moving to the front. So I have 2 Switch Pro switches, one here on the right side, which activates my Viz lights, which I actually use all the time. That's over on this side. I've got like some fog lights that are down low and have some wide lights for if I don't want to like ram into deer and whatnot. Over on this side is my IR panel. So this small switch on the far left is my blackout switch. When I activate this, it will cut my brake lights. It cuts a couple lights on the interior, but they weren't able to kill everything. So I do still have some interior lights that I have to deal with, and I'll get into that in a second. I also have switches here for my roof lights, which I actually had removed. The issue with those is it was a very focused beam and it was kind of shot off to the side. It wasn't a wide flood. And when you're actually driving around with IR lights on, you really only need the front and maybe the rear. So the side lights weren't that useful. I wouldn't do them again on another vehicle. I would just focus on the front and that'd be it. So those got removed when the roof rack came off. I have a rear light, which isn't set up very well. And again, it's not really that useful. The front is really the one that matters the most because you're generally driving straight. So what I have, because the interior, I still have various lights that are on. So if I turn my vehicle on, everything comes on. Blackout switch engaged. So now when I hit my brake lights, there will be nothing that is happening. I have my white lights, my front headlights are off. Those are not automatically killed with my blackout switch, so I have to have this off all the way. But what this means is my regular heads-up display is always on. Even if I dim it, it's still quite bright. So I molded this piece. I found this opaque material that you can see through. It's very dark. I actually heated this up, molded it, because, you know, TREX guy, I can heat up plastics and, you know, make them do things. Heated this to the inside of my heads-up display. I have 2 pieces of loop Velcro, and so I literally take this sucker, position it here in my HUD, and that darkens it nicely, so under nods, if I'm looking underneath, or if I end up actually looking at it with my night vision, it's not blowing everything out. I then use masking tape, which I keep in the vehicle, to cover up anything else. In this case, my time, which is always on. The blackout switch does not kill that. So cover that up, because that's very bright. That's actually the worst thing in a vehicle when you're looking out, is your little time indicator. The screen I can turn off, and then these are on, but that's really not a big deal, and that's about it. Got a couple little things down here I've got to cover up. My AC, my air circulation. Switch Pro's fine. This Switch Pro's fine. And I'm good to go. Then I activate my front AR with this button. And I'm set.
So if I allow the vehicle in front of me to get some separation, it is literally pitch black. It's very difficult for me to see, but you know, instead of having a vehicle that's set up with a bunch of IR lights, I can just use a little vampire light out the window. This is a rifle light. It's completely illuminating what I need to see, and I can use this momentarily essentially, so I can just, if I don't need it, just take my arm back out the window and I'm good to go. Or if I really wanted to, I can tape this guy to my window or my mirror with a little Surefire click cap, click it on, and now I have, now I'm just using a Surefire vampire light as a IR headlight.
So, this is an absolutely illuminous night. There's zero illum. There's technically a full moon, but it's not coming out till later. And when we're driving through the shade of all these trees, we can see nothing. So this is with no IR in front of me. There is a small vehicle. There's some IR from the rear. So even though we have night vision on and you are looking through an L3 PVS-14, which is one of the best night vision devices you can buy, it doesn't look great. I hit my IR, well now I can actually see some stuff. Still invisible to the naked eye, but some nights are just horrible for driving. Nothing. When you come out from the tree line, some IR from the rear, it's a little better, but now we're in a clearing, it's a little bit better. You can see the road.
All right, so we just finished the driving portion of our night vision training night, and we drove for about an hour. We got to learn quite a few different things about what we're wearing and our vehicle. So we got to see during the first portion of this, we were just driving in a convoy, driving nice and slow on some pavement. We got to see all of the spots we missed when we blacked out our vehicle, so we got to stop, fix that, and then we started doing some vehicle bounding after we drove on trails a little bit. So we got to drive on some very dusty trails. So even though this is supposed to be a full moon tonight, with how much overhead is from the trees and the fact that the moon really hasn't come up yet, we had zero illume. So we really had to require or rely on our vampire lights or Lucas's IR pods on this vehicle. So we got to work on driving, you know, with the passenger holding the light out the window or the driver doing it, or just relying on Lucas's pod lights. So after we drove on the trail for a little bit, after we did some convoy stuff, we did some vehicle bounding to get a little more confidence with just knowing our vehicle better. So being able to pass under nods with a very limited field of view is a little challenging. So it's easy to get around the vehicle, but actually coming back in front of another vehicle when you can't see behind you just takes a little bit to work on. So we got to boost our confidence a little bit with that. And now what we're about to do is we're going to grab our kit and we're going to start walking with rifles and rucks on.
All right, so we're gonna start walking for about an hour here. We're basically just gonna take off and stick to the road the entire time. It's pretty dark out, so if we started breaking brush, cameras couldn't follow, it'd just be a rough time. So that's really good training, but just sticking on these roads, there's enough brush and things and obstacles on the roads that we'll have to maneuver. We're not too worried about noise discipline because we will be talking a little bit, but we're gonna try to exercise light discipline, so we're gonna use IR flashes to communicate with one another. We're also going to try to exercise some dispersion as well. So nothing too crazy here. We're not doing any wild formations or anything like that. This is just to get some reps moving under nods at night. If you need to get somebody's attention, just do 3 IR flashes. If you don't have an onboard illuminator, use your rifle laser to get somebody's attention. And then we should be close enough that we can see each other and communicate from there. But that would be like kind of an emergency scenario, right? Just to get somebody's attention. I might do this periodically. I'm gonna point in my hand. That means I'm doing a map check. I'm literally just pulling out my phone. So it'll be a little bright or whatever, but just making sure we're sticking on the appropriate trails. Every once in a while I might tap my head. That's just a head count, making sure that everybody's up. That's gonna actually include the whole crew. So we make sure everybody's with us the entire time. And beyond that, I'm just gonna do one of these if I ever want everybody to circle up and we wanna talk about something. So let's be rally it up and then we'll head back. So that's pretty much it. So try to exercise some dispersion. If I want you to open it up, I'm just gonna do this. If I want you to close it up, I'm gonna do this. All I mean by that is front to back dispersion. So we'll kind of be in what's called the staggered column, but just try to stagger each side of the road, stay on the edges, and keep about 10, 15 meters of dispersion between you and the next guy. Good?
Good. Good.
Good.
So finishing up this night vision training we did tonight, again, the only things that we're working on is moving with some kit on, with our night vision on, but we did want to just maintain some light discipline. So we did set up our guns appropriately. For example, this SCAR, just in case I did ND the white light, I have a 100 Concepts light cover on it. So my white light is on, it's the Surefire Turbo, and as you can see, you can't see anything. Just flip this guy over if I needed to use it, and there you go, power of the sun. And for the rest of the gun, I'm not really worrying about reflections right now. If I was in a real life situation, I'd be cami painted or something like that. But got our lenses on the LA5. I got just some tape over the Delta Point Pro. 100 Concepts has an awesome kill flash for it. I just don't have one right now. And then we have just the 100 Concept covers over the ocular and the objective lens of the LPVO. So yeah, that is just the way that I help to mitigate some reflection in white light NDs while we're doing this night vision training.
If you're looking into investing thousands of dollars, potentially tens of thousands of dollars getting into night vision, getting the night vision itself, the mounts, the helmets, the IR lasers, the night vision compatible optics, the strobes, the illuminators that can go onto rifles, I feel like it is a very good idea to get the best bang for your money when investing that amount of money. Now, obviously, if you just want to go to Arby's to get your photo shoots and you just want to do your cool faded images for Instagram, your trap lord music, or you just want to do CQB in the basement, by all means, go and do those things. However, don't give yourself that false sense of confidence that you have this amazing understanding and training ability with night vision if that's all you're doing. Instead, what you should be doing is getting out and walking around, having productive range sessions where you're actually utilizing the equipment on your rifle the way it should be with night vision, obstacle courses, learning how to move with night vision, which is ultimately much more difficult than the shooting, is actually walking around, looking at the ground, memorizing the terrain 20 feet in front of you, and then being able to move through that. Over the last couple days, I've been running this set of NVGs. I have spent a lot of time under PBS 31s. I've spent quite a bit of time under Panos, and while this set of night vision is maybe a step below some of the L3 models out there, I didn't experience any sort of change in my performance or anything holding me back. Even on this night where we have no illumination at all, the moon has only just started to come up at 12 o'clock now, and we were driving and walking around with literally no illum at all. So don't focus so much on the technology, exactly what tube to buy and exactly what's tube spec. The most important thing for you to do is getting a unit of some sort. I'd recommend Gen 3 or above, don't go to Gen 2, and then get out there and actually train. Put it on, walk around with it, and actually gain a level of skill and confidence with that night vision so you can truly be an asset.